Balancing quality maintenance with cost savings is a challenge every property owner faces. You want to preserve the value of your investment without breaking the bank on repairs. You also want tenants who stay long-term, treat the property well, and pay rent on time. At Alpine Property Management, Kansas City, we understand these priorities. Our goal is to deliver quality maintenance that prevents costly emergencies, while also keeping expenses in check. It's an approach that makes sense in the real world, where budgets matter, but so do long-term returns. Let's talk about how we do it, and how you can apply the same principles to your own rental property strategy. Quality maintenance starts with a proactive mindset. Too many landlords wait until something is falling apart before addressing it. That might save money in the short term, but it can lead to bigger problems down the road. A small roof leak can become a major flood. A faulty electrical circuit can cause bigger damage or pose a safety hazard. By scheduling regular inspections and keeping an eye on wear and tear, you can catch these issues early. This approach not only saves money in the long run, but also keeps your tenants happier. They see that you care about the property and they're more likely to stay, reducing turnover costs. Another big factor in balancing costs with quality is choosing the right materials for repairs. You don't need the most expensive fixtures on the market, but you shouldn't go with the cheapest option either. A bargain faucet that breaks every year isn't really a bargain. By selecting mid-range materials and professional-grade parts, you reduce the frequency of repairs and the labor costs that go with them. Over time, these cost savings add up. Tenants also appreciate a home that feels solid and well-maintained. It affects how they treat the property and whether they renew their lease when the time comes. When it comes to hiring contractors, building relationships matters. Working with the same plumbers, electricians, and HVAC professionals can lead to better rates, faster responses, and a higher level of accountability. At Alpine Property Management, Kansas City, we've spent years forming these connections. We know who does good work at a fair price. We don't just open a phone book and call the first name we see. This network of trusted vendors helps us keep costs predictable, and it helps us ensure that repairs are done right the first time. If you're managing your properties on your own, it's worth investing time in finding reliable professionals, even if you have to test a few to get there. Communication is another key part of effective maintenance management. Tenants should know how to report issues and expect a prompt response. If a tenant sees something small, like a minor leak, and reports it immediately, you can fix it quickly. That prevents a bigger, costlier repair later. On the other side, you also need to communicate with contractors clearly. Make sure they understand the scope of work, the timeline, and what you expect regarding the final results. Miscommunication can lead to incomplete jobs, extra fees, or repeated visits. Nobody wants that. One reason many landlords hesitate to invest in proactive maintenance is the upfront cost. It's true that replacing an old water heater before it dies can feel like an unnecessary expense. But imagine the expense and hassle if that water heater fails on a holiday weekend, floods a basement, and leaves your tenant without hot water. Now you're looking at emergency rates from a plumber, possibly water damage, and an unhappy tenant. The short-term savings from waiting just aren't worth it. Being proactive might feel like spending money you don't have to, but in many cases, it saves you far more in the long run. Let's talk about budgeting for maintenance. A rule of thumb is to set aside a certain percentage of your monthly rental income, or a certain amount per unit, into a maintenance fund. This means you're not caught off guard by repairs, and you won't have to dip into personal savings or scramble for a loan. Every property is different, and older properties might need more set aside than newer ones. At Alpine Property Management, Kansas City, we help our clients plan these costs, so they're not blindsided. By having a dedicated maintenance budget, you're able to schedule projects strategically and address issues before they escalate. Technology can also make a difference. Online maintenance portals let tenants submit requests, upload pictures, and track the status of repairs. This leads to better documentation. You can see exactly what's going on without having to rely on unclear phone conversations. Technology also keeps records of how many times a specific problem arises, which can signal that it's time to replace something rather than keep repairing it. Tenants appreciate the transparency, and you get a clear paper trail in case any questions come up later. Now let's discuss how balancing quality and cost translates into tenant retention. A well-maintained property attracts tenants who care about where they live. They notice the difference. They also notice when a landlord consistently ignores problems or goes for the cheapest possible fix. By investing in proper maintenance, you're investing in your relationship with your tenants. Happy tenants renew their leases, which saves you the cost and hassle of turnover, cleaning, painting, advertising, and screening new tenants. That's a big deal, especially if you have multiple units and don't want a revolving door of renters. Good maintenance also ties into your long-term property value. If you ever decide to sell, a property that's been well cared for will command a higher price. Even if you keep the property in your portfolio, consistent upkeep can help it appraise better for refinancing or home equity lines of credit. Lenders like to see that a property is in good shape because it reduces their risk. So, your commitment to quality maintenance can open doors for further investment opportunities down the road. It becomes part of a cycle where responsible management leads to stronger finances, which lets you invest more confidently. In some cases, you might decide a property has become too much to manage or is simply no longer a fit for your portfolio. If that happens, Alpine Property Management Kansas City can help. We buy houses, making it easy to step away from a burdensome property without the lengthy process of listing, showings, and negotiations. Whether you're tired of dealing with extensive repairs or simply looking to liquidate, we'll make you a fair offer and streamline the closing. It's a simple solution for owners who are ready to move on. Back to balancing quality and cost. It's not always a science, it's often an art. Every property is unique and every landlord has different financial goals. Some want top-dollar finishes to attract higher-end renters, while others want to keep costs minimal but still protect the property's integrity. The right balance depends on factors like location, tenant base, and your own risk tolerance. But in general, aiming for a mid-range approach that prevents emergencies, addresses issues promptly, and uses durable materials tends to yield the best overall results. At Alpine Property Management Kansas City, we pride ourselves on striking that balance for our clients. We work with owners to set realistic maintenance budgets, choose the right vendors, and prioritize repairs by urgency and impact. We stay transparent about costs too, so you're never hit with unexpected bills. This clarity builds trust and allows us to make decisions together based on what's best for your property in the long term. It also leads to more predictable returns. Instead of scrambling to cover a sudden repair bill, you see a pattern of smaller, planned expenses that keep your cash flow steady. Thanks for watching. If you found this video helpful, please like, share, and subscribe for more insights on property management and real estate investing. And remember, if you're ready to simplify your life by letting professionals handle your maintenance concerns, Alpine Property Management Kansas City is here for you. We believe in proactive care that protects your investment and keeps your tenants happy, all while respecting your bottom line.